Good day, everyone. So now we will be starting the continuation of our report last meeting since it's not yet done. And let's proceed to the Buddhism since Hinduism is already done. May I call Catherine for the Buddhism's proponent?
So, good day. We will tackle about Buddhism. Buddhism, Siddhartha Gautama. The founder of Buddhism, who later became known as the Buddha, lived during the 5th century before Christ. Gautama was born into a wealthy family as a prince in a person's day in Nepal. He is one of the most important Asian thinkers and spiritual masters of all time, and he contributes to many areas of philosophy, including epistemology, metaphysics, and ethics. The Buddha's teaching formed the foundation of Buddhist philosophy, initially developed in South Asia, then later in the rest of Asia. He decided to give up his lavish lifestyle and endure poverty when he didn't fulfill him. He promoted the idea of middle way, which meant existing between two extremes. Thus, he sought a life without the social indulgences, but also without deprivation. When Gautama passed away around 483 before Christ, his follower began to organize a religious movement. Buddha's teaching became the foundation of what would develop into Buddhism. In the 3rd century before Christ, Ashoka the Great, the Mauryan Indian emperor, made Buddhism the state religion of India. Buddhist monasteries were built and missionary work was encouraged. Over the next few centuries, Buddhism began to spread beyond India. The thought and philosophies of Buddhism become diverse, with some followers interpreting ideas differently than others. The Buddha seeks a middle way between the extremes of dogmatism and skepticism, emphasizing personal experience, a pragmatic attitude, and the use of critical thinking toward all types of knowledge. Next, please. The Buddha argues that there are no self-caused entities and that everything dependently arises from or upon something else. This allows Buddha to provide a criticism of soul and personal identity. The criticism formed the foundation of his new views about the reality of rebirth and an ultimate liberated state called nirvana. Nirvana is not primarily as absolute reality beyond or behind the universe, but rather a special state of mind in which all the causes and conditions responsible for birth and suffering have been eliminated. Gautama was a dictated ascetic, renouncing worldly pleasures and leading a simple and nomadic life. His teachings inspired others to do the same, to give up the suffering inherent in worldly goods. That's all proponents of Buddhism, and thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. So let's proceed to the meaning of the Buddhism's philosophy. So now let's call Hiralia for the discussion. Hiralia.
Buddhism was founded by Siddhartha Gautama, who later became a Buddha. So, ang Buddhism is nang na-discover siya ni Siddhartha Gautama. So, one of the world's largest religions and originated 2,500 years ago in India. Buddhists believe that the human life is one of suffering, and that meditation, spiritual and physical labor, and good behavior are the ways to achieve enlightenment or nirvana. So nirvana is used to refer to the extinction of desires and ignorance and ultimately of suffering and rebirth. Out Central, East, and the Southeast. Next slide. also known as Buddha Dharma or Dharma Vinaya, which means doctrines and disciplines. This is an Indian religion or philosophical tradition based on a series of original teaching and attributed to Gautama Buddha. The goal of Buddhism is to overcome suffering,
Dukkha.
dukkha, caused by ignorance about the three marks of existence. So, dukkha means suffering or unhappiness. Desires kay tanha din. Impermanence anitya. A non-self is anatman. The Buddha taught the middle way of a path of spiritual development that avoids both extreme asceticism and sensual indulgence. Buddhism was widely practiced in the Indian subcontinent. It is also had foothold to some extent in other places such as Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and the Philippines. The history of Indian Buddhism may be divided into five periods. First is the early Buddhism, occasionally called pre-sectarian Buddhism. Second is Nikaya Buddhism or sectarian Buddhism. It's a period of the early Buddhism schools, early Mahayana Buddhism, late Mahayana, and the era of Vajrayana or the Tantric age.
Thank you, Hilalia. So now let's proceed to the Confucianism, where will be a report by Rosemary.
So Confucianism. The proponent of Confucianism was Confucius. Confucius was a philosopher and a teacher as well from 5 to 479 BCE. His thoughts on ethics, good behavior, and moral character were written down by his disciples in several books. Confucius also stressed the cultivation of personal qualities such as benevolence, reciprocity, and filial piety, and he believed that education and reflection led to virtue and that those who aspire to command others must cultivate discipline and moral authority in themselves. This connects Rina. Confucius' principles have commonality with Chinese tradition and belief. Confucius espoused the golden rule: do not do unto others what you do not want done to yourself. It means that try to put yourself in other people's shoe before you say or do something to them. Confucius' teachings were later turned into a elaborate set of rules and practices by his numerous disciples and followers who organized his teachings into analects. So analects is a collection of aphorism and historical anecdotes embodying the basic values of Confucian tradition. This connects Julia. Now let's move to the Confucius philosophical study, which is the Confucianism. So Confucianism is an ancient Chinese belief system which focuses on the importance of personal ethics and morality. It is also known as Buddhism or Lucassicism. Confucianism was founded in the 6th to 5th century BCE. Confucianism is one of the most influential religious philosophies in the history of China, and it has existed for over 2,500 years. It is concerned with inner virtue, morality, and respect for the community and its values. Confucianism was suppressed during the legalist and autocratic Qing dynasty because during the Qing dynasty, Confucianism was rejected because
It was critical of Qin policy, and in that era, the Qin dynasty already adopted the philosophy of legalism and banned all others. Let's go next. Yeah. Confucianism existed alongside Buddhism and Taoism for several centuries as one of the most important Chinese religions. In Tang Dynasty, the influence from Buddhism and Taoism brought about Neo-Confucianism, which combined ideas from all three religions. Confucianism believes in ancestor worship and human-centered virtues for living a peaceful life. Let's go to there. Is the five classics and the Confucian vision. These classics are embodying five visions which underlie development of Confucianism. First is the I Ching, or the Book of Changes. The book contains a donation system comparable to Western GST or the West African EFA system. It is also believed to be one of the world's oldest books. Second is Classic of Poetry. It is a collection of 305 poems divided into 160 folk songs, 105 festal songs sung at court ceremonies, and 40 hymns and eulogies sung at sacrifices to heroes and ancestor spirits of the royal house. It is also the oldest existing collection of Chinese poetry. Third is the Book of Documents, a collection of documents and speeches alleged to have been written by rulers and officials of the early Zhao period and before. It is possibly the oldest Chinese narrative and may date from the 6th century BC. It includes examples of early Chinese prose. Fourth is the Book of Rites. It describes ancient rites, social forms, and court ceremonies. The version studied today is a pre-worked version compiled by scholars in the 3rd century BC rather than original text, which is said to have been edited by Confucius himself. The last one is a Spring and Autumn Annals, a historical record of the state of Lu, Confucius' native state in 722 to 481 BC. So that's all the information of Confucianism.
Okay, thank you, Rosemary. So now let's proceed to the rules and aims of the specific philosophy to the education. Rules or aims of Hinduism to education. Hindu literacy becomes the main foundation in the education system, which builds the machine of human intelligence and wisdom. Activating the spirit of learning and methodology in Upanishad will directly help effort to increase literacy. Education is the soul in Hindu Vedic or Sanatana Dharma civilization. Literacy is the soul of education in Hinduism civilization. The Upanishads is an integral part of Vedic literature, and it provides the basic concept of education and literacy patterns. The goals of Hinduism is that teachers and students concentrate fully on development of education and student personality. Ito kanang ang goal sa Hinduism kay kanang nag-concentrate sa kanang development of a teacher and a student's personality. It was started in a literacy program and effort to improve skills. So the aims of Hinduism is to improve skills. According to the Upanishads, education is about giving academic degrees to students and building excellent human character. Literacy is essential in Hindu education. So, importante kayo ang literacy sa Hindu education. Various education methods are used in Upanishad with the aim of awakening all human potential through educational efforts to generate superior human character as whole intelligence and wisdom are accentuated. Upanishad learning still has relevance in the modern era, such as the philosophy of idealism. The great aim of Hindu education is character and the effort to achieve self-realization. Thus, the ancient educational system achieved its full goal. So, kanang ang aim or goal sa Hinduism is the effort to achieve the self-realization. So now let's proceed to the roles of or aims of Buddhism to education. The goal of Buddhist education is to attain wisdom. In Sanskrit, the language of ancient India, the Buddhist wisdom was called Anatura Samyak Sambuddhi, meaning the perfect ultimate wisdom. So ang meaning ang English aning kanang Anatura Samyak Sambuddhi is a perfect ultimate wisdom, because the aims of the Buddhism to education is to attain wisdom. The Buddha thought as the main objective for practice or cultivation was to achieve the ultimate wisdom. The aim of Buddhist education system is to enlighten students and help them attain wisdom. This education system provides an all-around personality development, including physical, mental, moral, and intellectual development. The goal of Buddhism is to become enlightened and reach nirvana. Nirvana is believed to be attainable only with the elimination of all greed, hatred, and ignorance within a person. Nirvana signifies the end of the cycle of the death and rebirth. The aim of education was to prepare for a good life, a moral life. The whole discipline called Seksha had three important aspects: the viz, morality, contemplation, and wisdom. In Buddhist morality, there was an fusion of practical needs with theoretical knowledge and stress and ascetic life against worldly life. The 7 factors of awakening are 7 mental capacities so valued as part of Buddhist practice that are known as the inner wealth. These factors are mindfulness, investigation, energy, joy, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. Buddhism is an educational system aimed at regaining our own intrinsic nature. The Buddha teaching contains 3 major points. So there are kanang main teaching ang kanang Buddha. These are the discipline, meditation, and wisdom. To attain wisdom, the goal and deep meditation or concentration is the crucial process towards achieving wisdom. Discipline through observing the precepts is a method that helps to achieve deep meditation. Wisdom will be realized naturally. So, that's all. Let's continue to the rules of Confucianism to education to be discussed by Jenalyn. Jenalyn?
Rules of Confucian education. Confucian shows education as a process of the constant self improvement and health that is a primary function was a training of non-blaming. He saw the public service of the natural consequence of dedication and sought that revitalize Chinese social infestation, including the family, schools, community, and state and kingdom. The primary purpose of the Confucian education is character building education, as the character's building is to learn to be human. While Confucians emphasize personal cultivation of characters, they are give
Priority.
will not be the individual but the family, community, and the world. The Confucian's curriculum is the essentially holistic,
Comprehensive.
comprehensive, and integrated holistic curriculum comprises students' cognitive, affective, and behavioral
demands, learnings are called the internalized and applied to content learned to self, cultivations, and social interaction. Next, Jams. The core of the Confucian's education philosophies is how we learn to be a human. Human beings are the ends of not the means. Confucius believed in the ultimate end of learning was to realize the true natures of human beings. Become fully human. We are the all human being. The goal of the Confucianism is to create peaceful society through the bettering and the attitudes and behaviors and individual followers. An individual best approaches this goal through the
Cultivation. Cultivating the character.
cultivating the characters of the
Compassionate. Compassionate mind.
compassionate the correct confident cultivating in the character of the passionate mind, which leads to human behavior. Confused objects of the social and the political harmony of the China, listed on three majors and confession.
Cultivation.
Cultivations, respect of ritual and traditions, and there's
Importance of human relationships.
morality and respect for the community and its values.
So, to summarize, philosophy is the study of knowledge, reality, and existence, especially academic discipline. And as we talk about the first Eastern philosophy, we will be talking the philosophy of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Confucianism. Eastern philosophy emerged the community civilization in Asia. It is a diverse body of approaches to life, acquired varied beliefs regarding deities. Hinduism is the philosophical study of Ramanuja, where it aims to awakening all human potential, the effort to achieve self-realization. And Buddhism is the philosophical study of Siddhartha Gautama, and it aims to attain wisdom. And Confucianism is the philosophical study of Confucius, with the aims of character building, self improvement, self cultivation, and social interaction to become fully human. And that's all. Thank you for listening.